we're talking about the key artifacts that we get delivered. We're talking about stories, we're talking product backlog, the sprint backlog that gets accepted by the team, the to do, to verify, and done. So this is what we call as a team board in Scrum. It's called it's basically a Kanban artifact, a Kanban related technique, but that has been adopted and embraced into Scrum. This is a sample backlog that you talk about. So product backlog, item 1, task. So it could be, that's why we're talking about product backlog item. There could be tasks, there could be user stories, all of these, and then you say initial estimate hours or days, day 1, day 2. So you actually talk about the estimate, you say user story points, you use different kind of estimation mechanisms. So a backlog could be of as simple as this one. You can use Excel spreadsheet, you can use Jira stories, you can use all these Kanban boards to create Trello, you can use all of these different tools to create your own product backlog. So this is an example of how a backlog could look like. Of course, I'll show you another. So this is from a project that we were talking about, the total view. We were talking about that last time around. So taking it forward from where we left, we had a vision, we had the roadmap, we've actually done all these different studies. We showed them how it should look like. After that, we got the agreement from the customer. We went ahead with that. We started writing these stories in terms of requirements as a user, or as a facilities manager, as a user or a team lead, as a regional or a site manager. I would like to do, I should be able to activate the newly added site. I should be able to enter the access details for a site. I should be able to view the updated site. All these are, remember, these are all stories. View the maps of my site. As a regional or site manager, I should view all the maps of my site, wherever my sites are there in the UK. So some could be in Glasgow, some could be in Cardiff, some could be in London, some could be somewhere in Birmingham. So I should be able to see on a map where my sites are, and then click on a map to see all the associated jobs or works that have been planned for that particular site coming up in the next few days, or it could have been showing the historic jobs that have been done on the site. It could be, the site could be Tesco stores or a shopping mall or a train station, anything, as we discussed the other day. And then we are talking about the benefit. So this, as a user role, I would like to do something, or I should be able to do something. That something could be view, add, enter, change. This is a CRUD basically, right? Update. So this is a functionality so that I get the benefit. The benefit is this. So why do you want to do this? So this is called a benefit. This is a user story construct. This is how user stories are written. So you see that these are real life user stories, as simple as this. And then you add a description to this particular thing if it's not clear or simple. And then you attach the urgency, importance versus urgency, the prioritization, the Moscow prioritization. We had a look at it in detail last week. So the must have, should have, could have, and won't have this time. And then in terms of urgency, again, this could be by the product owner, the business team, and then those things. So you need to now just click on this, and then you have all musts, right? So those musts and those with a sense of urgency, again, you click on this, you select all A's, which are the topmost urgent and important things. So that would give you, let's say, out of these, just within this one. In fact, this list ran for about a good 1,300 stories just in a span of 5 months. We'll not talk about all those. Let's cut the complexity and the chase. Just within this particular thing, let's say, we've got how many stories? Roughly about 25 stories, let's say. Out of these, we've got how many musts? If you can just take a quick glance, you can see that the musts are not very many, right? Let's say about 12, not even 12, 10 must items are there, important and urgent. And then out of the 10, the A's could be very minimal again, right? So there are some C's as well, the must. So if you just filter those out, the important is must and then urgency is A, you would end up with, let's say, about 10 or even 6. So those 6 items or the stories are going to go into the sprint backlog, the upcoming sprint. That is the sprint backlog. So remember that the most important, most urgent are always taken up the backlog, and the rest of items are all, they're all down. They're the epic level, for example. They may not be detailed enough, and that's why they're lying down. And these first set of 10 stories could actually get into the next sprint. They're the candidates for the sprint backlog. And then once you go into the sprint planning meeting, or even just before the sprint planning meeting, we can take only those 6 or 7 stories which are must and A. We then have a look at those, and then look at how many of those 7 stories would actually be feasible technically, and the time limit and all those resources. And then we'll again either give a commitment of those 7 stories, or we can actually kind of say that, oh, we can't do all 7, we'll do 3 or 4. So that's how it really works. And user stories, again, we discussed this at length. We've had a deeper discussion on this a few weeks ago as well. We're talking about user stories as a construct, as a way to manage the requirements in Scrum. But bear in mind that user stories are actually not a Scrum technique. They're basically another technique that is available, agile development technique, very well adopted by other methods. So Scrum accepted and embraced it as its own. Very, very popular. As a stock control, I want to do something so that I get this benefit. This is how a story is written. And then we need to apply the invest principle to know how good a story is. Independent, whether the story is independent, is it negotiable, is it valuable to users or customers, is it estimatable, is it small enough, is it testable, right? So that's the invest principle. And then we talked about how the story card should be written in as simple as being written in the back of the card, or something like that. It should be as simple as that. It should be such a simple and nimble tool. And then you should encourage conversations amongst the team and confirmation that, yes, this is what we're going to do. So the 3 C's of user stories. So we'll go into the details later. Perhaps we can have one session only on user stories, how to split the stories, how to create epics, how to manage the stories, how to estimate the size of a story in terms of user story points. That goes into a huge discussion on it.